also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to the Mushing Alaska podcast. One of the hosts, Brendan. And, it's kind of fitting for this next episode that I'm doing the intro. Unfortunately, I was really sick when we were interviewing our guest, Shane Blumentritt. And so Sean was able to handle the interview side of things. And so I thought it would be kind of nice for me to do the intro. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Shane, he's been mushing since, I think he said his first race was 2017 or his first exposure. And then 2019 is when he started to build his kennel from the ground up. So he's been mushing for about 6 years. He is born and raised in Kenai, and his fiancée have built their kennel there on the Kenai Peninsula. He is continuing his Iditarod qualification journey. He is running the Copper Basin this year, and the week before, his fiancée is running the Knik 200. So it'll be interesting to see really how those dogs go from one race to the next. He's got kind of a smaller kennel. I think it was maybe 15 dogs, he said, that were race ready. So I'll be watching that. I'm hoping that his Copper Basin goes well, and obviously his fiance, we're rooting her on as well. But for me, something that stood out in listening to this interview was that he very much so seems connected to the mushing community with a good, network of mentors and support. He's mostly doing it by himself, but it just seems like he at least has been able to talk to people along the way. A couple things to talk about here, how the interview came together. So Sean met Shane over the summer, just by chance in Seldovia, and that sparked a reconnection and led to our podcast today, where we can kind of take things deeper. Like I said, my thoughts after listening are, like I said, I think he's connected to the community. He's very enthused. I think that Sean did a great job, although obviously, if I was there, probably would have added a thing or two to it, but no, jokes aside, I really enjoyed it. To me, even though he's kind of relatively green, if you will, to me, he came across as savvy. He came across as seasoned, as someone who's informed, who's done their homework. He talks about one of his races that didn't go as well as he thought. And just hearing his self-analysis of that race for me, with his, on the less side of experience in the mushing scene, just led me to believe that he's got a bright future ahead of him if he wants to seek it out, the whole mushing for a career. And, I believe he's 30 or a little around that area. So Sean did well. So one thing about Shane is, I swear the whole time, I have a friend here in Atlanta named Mitch. Shout out to Mitch, although he's not going to be listening. But his voice sounded exactly like Mitch. So there I am. I've never met Shane, but I'm hearing a voice that I've heard before. So I just thought that was a funny little personal note. But yeah, I'm excited to follow Shane's journey in the sport. And I do regret not being a part of this, but obviously I was sick and the family was sick. We had this crazy bug. We don't have to go into too many details, although we've had guests on the podcast that have probably had the same bug, both ends kind of thing, while they're still doing the race, which insane to me. But yeah, just kind of, we're going to keep things short since I'm by myself today. But one thing of note that Sean and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, and we will do that in the future, is, our focus has been in mushing, but it's been very Iditarod centric. And so, we'll continue that. But we've talked about, going into this race season, trying to highlight more of the other races across Alaska. And we feel that we've done that in the past, but maybe we could do it a little bit more. And so, the thing for us that's exciting is that a lot of these smaller races already have these full rosters with wait lists. And so it tells us that there's a lot of interest, and, mushing is not dying. And even like on the Iditarod side, there still are lower numbers. It's continuing to grow. You still see a couple of names that have been trickling in over these last couple weeks and months. Obviously, it's still not the 50 to 80 or so mushers that we're used to, but for us, that's part of why we want to focus on these smaller races, because it is making these even more exciting. So our future episodes will include a little bit more breaking away of just solely being so Iditarod centric. But for now, I'm just going to send it over to the interview with Sean. Thank you guys as always for tuning in, and please enjoy this interview with Shane Blumentritt.
All righty, folks. Welcome to the Mushing Alaska podcast. My name is Sean. Brendan is under the weather today, so we're doing it without him. But we're sending him well wishes. We're here today with our guest, our newest guest, Shane Blumentritt. Thanks for coming on, man. And so tell me a little bit about where you're at and the name of your kennel, and just kind of introduce yourself.
My name is Shane. We run on the Kenai Peninsula when we've got snow. We're based out of the Caribou Hills, which is just heading east in a nail chick up in the mountains there by Tim Osmar and Monica Zappa. They're our neighbors up here. And just when we don't have snow, we just head north and go chase the weather. So hopefully we don't have that problem again this year. Last season, we started off we were on sleds by middle of October, but then it went to garbage within a couple months. So yeah, that's where we're at down here on the peninsula, just praying for snow and hope it comes down.
Yeah, man. I've gotten a chance to go down there in the sled dog life a few times. I got to run the Tustamina back in like 2017, and that I was new to the whole scene everywhere in Alaska, but it was really a very hilly race. The Caribou Hills, good name for it. Yeah. And then I've been to Sterling at Mitch's place, and I was aware that Monica and Tim are there, and so yeah. But it's been, and the twins at one point were down there.
Yeah, they were running for Dean, I believe.
Yeah,
Tim's cat.
Yeah, and so yeah, but it's obviously a little farther south. The Kenai Peninsula, I feel like, is like its own like a lot, like micro, like subgenre of Alaska. Like, you go down there, it's like a whole nother world, for people living in Fairbanks, that's a completely different flavor of Alaska. And the Kenai Peninsula, of course, is, the maritime weather, a little warmer in the winters and a little cooler in the summers. And man, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. And obviously one of the cons to being down there in a sled dog setting is the fact that this winter isn't as dependable to get just a consistent freezing temperatures and a good enough amount of snow. But some of the pros, what are like the pros to you of like the Kenai Peninsula? Like, what
Osmar, definitely Osmar. We had Paul Gibhart down here he passed away, a couple years ago. Paul Gibhart was training out of here on Coho as well. Obviously we got Mitch up in Sterling, but Lance Mackey, he was obviously down here when he started over again. That's where he came, was the Kenai Peninsula. And so back in the day, there was a lot of mushers down here. Before my time, it was like the Willow of Alaska. I feel like before, like there were just as many people here as there was in Willow, probably.
Yeah.
And then as temperatures just change and things happen, people just started leaving. There's not a whole lot of us left down here. And we got Libby Riddles down here just south of me a little ways. And then we have Jim Art up here as well. He's all retired as well. But
nice. Yeah, That's a good point. I hadn't thought that. Yeah, it was kind of like the willow of mushing, maybe before willow, and yeah, it's like it's a cool, like, what a great place for like getting some tough feet. I feel like you guys maybe have like more time where you're not on the snow, so you can get those dogs kind of have tougher feet maybe than some other locations. And is that fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just because of my dog's bloodlines or what, but they've got tough feet.
Nice. So yeah, they do have to, so you take the booties off after like 15 miles. And
that was just for that one race, particularly because it was so warm out at that race. So
and you just get these like heavy booties, then they like, maybe they freeze, and then it's like,
Yeah.
Nice.
We don't train with booties very often here. So like we rarely, maybe like getting into 2 weeks close to a race, then I'll start being more vigilant and at least rear bootying certain dogs that may be prone to something.
Yeah.
But for the most part, unless it's really rough conditions, my dogs have great feet, and that's just something I'm able to enjoy, luckily.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I worked at a couple different places, and one place, the dogs like feet were almost like, I mean, we checked them, but they weren't really like, there was like a couple, maybe a cut here, a cut there, maybe one dog that was, but then I worked at another kennel, and it's like their feet were a little more banged up, but it was, maybe we hit it harder on the fall training, and there's lots of variables in it, but the fact that because you're mostly training on an ATV unless you go to like the Denali Highway or the Willow or something.
Oh no, we're on sleds here this time of year. Yeah, we're on 4-wheelers, but hopefully by Thanksgiving we'll be back on sleds again. But just last season we had to take off and go north because just would snow 2 feet and then rain for a couple days, and snow 2 feet and then rain. So, but normally, yeah, we're up here on sleds all winter long.
Yeah, and it's pretty like decent elevation. I guess you guys like, up in the Caribou Hills, you guys like 1,000 feet up, maybe, or like.
Yeah, we're sitting at 1,100 feet right here at our place, and as we run, we just climb. Unless you're going down Clam Gulch to head down towards the beach areas, but generally, we're just going to keep gaining elevation when we go out for our runs out here. We're climbing up unless we're heading over to Caribou Lake or want to run down towards Homer.
Right. Yeah, so your dogs are like stoked on hills, I bet.
Yeah, that is one of the huge positives of training here when we've got snow. I didn't realize when I started out down here working with Tim Osmar and running his dogs. And I just thought it was normal. Like, this is just what trails are. And then I started getting into it, running with other people and getting my own dogs. And I'd go run up in Willow or run up in Fairbanks. And I was like, everything's flat. I remember being at one of my first musher meetings for one of my first races, and they said about mile 40 or mile 45 there's going to be a big hilly section, and then you'll drop down and come into a checkpoint. I remember pulling into that checkpoint and going, did I come in the wrong way? Because there was supposed to be a big hill or something back there, right? And they said, no, you came in the right way. It's like, we don't call that a hill at home.
Yeah, that is awesome to have that training, because you can definitely tell like the teams that are training in the swamps, and I like see some teams, not all teams of course, but just seeing teams in there like the dogs going up the hill, like you'll see like 3 or 4 of them just like their tails straight up in the air, and they're just like, I don't really typically pull need to pull that hard, so when you have to kind of dig your feet in and ask your dogs to go 4 miles an hour up a 45-degree hill, sometimes some of the dogs that maybe just barely made the team might be kind of like, yeah, I'm going to pee on this bush over here, and maybe this is a good time for a poo break. And it's like, it's kind of funny to see.
One other positive thing is about not just training going up hills here, but we're training going down hills. So I think that also gives us a good advantage of going through rough races where you have, like as Jeff King said, I believe I heard it from him one year, you want to train, not restrain. So I don't want to have to be riding my brake, dragging down the gorge someday. Like I want my dogs to know we're going downhill. We shift down, we take it easy. So that is one thing we even start working into our puppies on leash at 4 months old. We're walking down hills, jogging, and we're trying to train so we don't have to restrain.
Yes.
I think that was Jeff King who said that. So I'll give him that quote. It's not mine.
No, I definitely remember him saying that to me. Like, there's something to be said for, because like there's the trying to find that dance of like, okay, you don't want to run too fast, too long. You don't want to go 12 miles an hour for 50-mile runs, 3 runs in a row. It's just probably not going to work out. Eventually, that's just not sustainable. It's been proven, I feel like. Maybe there's exceptional teams and stuff, but then you don't want to be like taking a dog team that wants to go 12 and making them go 8,
Yeah.
But for some dog teams, 10 is too fast, right? So you're like trying to gotta give them a little bit of like, don't go too fast, but don't be having them fight against you, hitting the brake. Anyways, so that's cool so when your team goes down a hill, like if you have an 8 or 10 or 12 dog team and you're going down a hill, they're kind of like not pulling you.
Generally, most of them, once they get enough years of training in them, then you'll just see them downshift.
That's amazing.
They'll just start slowing down a little bit. But, this is going to take a few years to get to that point. A lot of restraining to train.
Yeah. So the young dogs are like, oh, sick. I'm going to pull as hard as I possibly can going down.
Yeah. They're 12th gear all the time. They don't know when to slow down yet.
Yeah. Yeah. When I went to the Tustamina on those the same trails, I guess that you're training on, and it was like Jeff's A team. And he was like, dude, just like, don't run too fast or whatever. And like the dogs like definitely knew that I was a total scrub on the back of the sled, and they would just pull me as fast as they possibly could. And I'm, trenched out, all the snow. I'm in the back of the race. All the snow is just like trenched out. And my life flashed before my eyes, but it was actually not that bad. But like, because it was a rookie, it was in my head, but,
that must have been the last year they had it. It was 2016 or 17 was the last one. And actually the starting line and finish line is right here out my window. We border that property.
Wild. Okay. Nice. Yeah. It was a cool race. And I hope that somebody makes it happen again one day. But anyways, so what are you talk to me about, like, where are you from?
Born and raised on the Kenai Peninsula here. My family's been here for some time. My mom grew up here. My dad came up from Phoenix 1 year to go fishing and never left. And I've been actually grew up in this cabin a lot of times. This was our recreational family cabin.
Wow. That's amazing. So are you guys, where are you? Like, what is the name of the Castilloff or like?
Caribou Hills.
Caribou Hills. Okay. So that's like the name of the community.
Yep. So we're technically the Nail Chick address, but it's Caribou Hills, we call it. We're up Oil Well Road up here ways by that old Rockies or Freddy's Roadhouse.
Oh, okay. Right on. And so your mom was born and raised.
She wasn't born here. She was born in Washington, but she was raised here. Yeah. Come from a commercial fishing family, and they came up here to commercial fish. Amazing.
That's you don't meet too many people whose parents, were raised here. That's a different time. I mean, I'm sure your mom has some crazy stories of, the 70s or 60s and growing up. That's wild. So did you fish too?
Yeah, I grew up commercial fishing a little bit. Nowadays I do fishing guiding in the summers. It's commercial fishing turned out to be a little bit of a gamble. Some years you're eating steak every night for winter, and then some years you're on beans and rice. So it's a little bit of a gamble compared to just going out and taking some clients out, which I actually really enjoy. Making people's lifetime memories out there is pretty special to be a part of.
Where do you take people? Like, are you going from Homer, or are you from where you live, or?
So in the summertime, we're based at my folks' little lodge is over in Kenai area,
gotcha,
by the river there. But I do float plane fly out trips across the inlet. So we fly out to Big River Lake and Crescent Lake, and I fly out every morning in a plane and with my clients and take them fishing for half a day, and then the next group comes out and we do it all over again.
That's amazing, dude. You probably get to see some incredible country.
It's gorgeous over there. It's just so beautiful. I'm already trying to figure out how to run a team up to Big River Lake there. I know you can get over to Tyonek from Knik area. So then from Tyonek, you could just cross some frozen rivers and run up into Big River Lake.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the zones you're talking about, but yeah, I guess, yeah, going from Knik and like kind of like the foothills of the Tordrillos and
Yep. Yeah, there's a snow machine trail that the villagers over in, I think they call it Tyonek. They use that to get like furniture brought in the winter, so they don't got to bring it on boats and planes. And so they got a little freight trail they use.
Huh. And so, and when are you guiding like in a near like Iliamna or Lake Clark, or is it like?
So yeah, one of the lakes that we go to is in Lake Clark National Park. Okay. That would be Crescent Lake. It's not actually on Lake Clark, but it's in that national park.
Right. So have you seen Dick Brennicke's?
Oh yeah. So no, I haven't personally seen it, but I thought you were gonna ask if I knew who it was. Yeah, he was actually a hero of mine growing up. I remember watching one of his homemade films when I was 8 years old, and I remember instantly being like, "That guy's my hero. I want to be him when I grow up." So it's actually a pilgrimage I want to make. Actually, my partner and I, we want to go over there real bad and go check it out. It's been on my list since I was a kid. I want to go see it. I've read everything he has ever written, I'm pretty sure, and watched every film he's ever shot of himself. That guy was a legend. If dog food wasn't so expensive and I didn't have to have a big boy job, that's where I'd be trying to do right there.
Yeah. I would think that's totally doable if you got the float plane connections, maybe just to pop over there for a quick, cup of tea and on your way back or something. But yeah, his videos of making his cabin and going fishing and picking blueberries and just, I think he lived out there for, they say, like close to 30 years, but maybe like half of them were winters, but still like an insane amount of time to just literally be living off the land in the winters in a pretty extreme environment. And he would just, correct me if I'm wrong, he would hike the like 35 miles to the village nearby. I can't remember the name of the village, but they just like go, I got to do a town run. So he just go hike, like no trail at all, just 35 miles. And then I think I don't
remember that part, but yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. And then I think he got to have like because he was in the park. So like part of the deal was like, he would be like the weather guy. He'd be like, the national park people would radio over to him and he'd be like, oh yeah, it's clear over here. It's blowing 10 from the south or whatever. So but what a wild, apparently the door is like for someone that's like, he's a tiny dude, so my buddy who's like 5'9" and he's been out there. He's like, I never met the guy, but he's a tiny man. Like everything in there is just, but what a cool.
He would have made a good dog musher.
Yeah.
He had all the skills in the right size.
It's a good point. Yeah, so that's cool area. Not many people get to be out over there, so I think that's a good upgrade from having a wishy-washy commercial setting or commercial fishing. Especially, I feel like, were you doing it in the Kenai area or did you?
Yeah, so I did set netting when I was a kid over here on the east side, and the east side it's slowly has been tapering out. And everyone that was seeing the future, like there's nothing left of it. They're going to be shut down eventually. And sure enough, it's shut down now. It never opens. So now they kind of try to do a dip net commercial fishery, which is interesting. You can't feed a family off that for the winter. So yeah, I'm not sure how it's the drifters are staying afloat. So they're doing good. They're keeping them out deep. They're just trying to protect this king salmon run that has been decimated. I mean, everywhere in the state's been decimated, right? But
for the
Kenai King run, the Kenai King run has been one that they're really upset about because obviously the world-class Kenai River king salmon world record, Les Anderson, was caught in the Kenai.
What was it? What was that, like 90 pounds or something? What?
97 point something.
Dude, 97-pound salmon. That's insane.
Yeah.
That thing must have been like as tall as we are.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy how the salmon goes like king salmon's decimated, but then like this year's Kenai run for reds was insane.
Oh, yeah, over escaped. So we'll see how that return is in 4 years. It sure has made fly fishing on the upper Kenai difficult for trout because now there's just so much food in the water. Like they have a full all-you-can-eat buffet floating by them constantly. Trying to float a flesh fly through there has been not the most productive.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do you know the stats on that one? Like the total run or?
Oh man, it was over 2 point something million. I don't remember the exact number or how many it was.
Okay. Yeah.
It way over escaped.
And if there's too many salmon that get up the river, then what's like the number one concern? If you get too many salmon.
So I've got some strong opinions on fish runs. And I don't know what's right. I honestly wish I went to school for fish biology just because it intrigues me so much. Not because I want to use it like in a professional setting, but it's a puzzle. And that's kind of why I love fishing. I want to kind of like probably love mushing as well.
Right.
It's something you got to figure out and put together why they're doing this, why they're doing that, why did this happen?
Right.
And so one of the concerns is for over escapement is it's just going to just flush the river out with too many fish. They're going to try to be too many smolt. Maybe they're trying to survive in this fresh water before they go to salt water with not enough food resource in the water. However, that can go both ways because some of their food resource is their decaying parents that laid them, hatched them. Right. So who knows? I don't know. It all intrigues me. It's a puzzle that I could go on for hours and hours about my different thoughts and like maybe this is why, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not linear, by any means. And it's interesting, like getting into the fish politics, like there's such a several spectrums of fish opinions and also just kind of fascinating because like the hatchery element of like salmon, that they are, taking wild salmon and using their eggs and seed and making new salmon and sending them out into the world. And they're real, like not farmed salmon, right?
Yeah.
They're like wild salmon, but then they come back and they're like back at the hatchery and they're like, yo, where's, like they want to go up the river, but it's just like a building. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, they kind of have to get caught. Right. Or they're just like not going to, so it's like a very, but then it helps with the commercial fishing industry and it helps like with the wild, keep the wild sustainable. What's that?
Yeah. Commercial fishing and tourist industry.
Right.
I mean, that's a big thing for us down here on the peninsula in the summer. Tourist industry, what pays the bills.
Yeah. And but then it's also like, I guess the wild run, it helps protect and not put so much pressure on the wild run, from the head. But I don't really know fully, like I start to begin anywhere past where I'm talking right now. I'm kind of like not really sure on how everything gets affected. But so you feed your dogs a lot of salmon?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Salmon for sure. We just did a big dog food run for salmon was the day before yesterday. A lot of people we have around here. There's not many mushers, so you don't have a lot of competition for picking up food. People say, anybody dog team? And a freezer have gone out and they've been partially thawed for a few days and they just want to throw it out. Or also in the spring, you get all the people who over harvest salmon and then want to make room for this year's fish. And they just got a whole freezer of fish they're just going to throw in the dump. So
nice.
I hate to pick on them because it's free dog food, but at the same time, it's also a natural resource, so I don't waste it. But it's not going to waste when they call us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's got to be. You have a great supply of it. Sounds like, and yeah, the dogs don't need it to be the best, fillet from this summer. It's not a big deal, but
a lot of salmon heads too. When I'm filleting fish all summer for people, I just chop off a salmon head, fill a bucket, throw it in the freezer. Yeah.
They love those almost. I feel like they like the heads more than they like. I don't know. Some of the dogs I remember, I'd toss the head and they would just eat the head and not eat like the parts of the fillet or whatever. But
yeah.
Nice. So are you, how many dogs do you have?
We're up to, we got 15 race dogs this season and we've got 11 puppies. So we've only got a pool of 15 to choose from racing this year. And
damn,
then
dude, 11 puppies.
Yeah.
That's a good cohort. I mean, it's like, how old are they? Are they mostly like born this summer, basically?
So we had 2 litters born on the beginning of June. So one on the 4th of June, one on the 1st of June. And then we've got 2 end of July puppies as well.
Nice. Okay.
So we've got a little bit of a mixture here with the 2 little puppies. And then we got the 4-month-olds they came back from the glacier a lot bigger than I expected. So they're going to be some big dogs. And so they're already on their own posts with their own dog houses. They're out of the puppy pen.
Nice.
So I'm hoping we'll see how they mature and develop throughout next season. But I was hoping, my plan was I was supposed to be our up and coming Iditarod stock for 27, but that'll be it. I'm not sure. I'm new at this. I know that's a little bit young, but just to run a puppy team on it, if they do a couple 300-mile races or 200-mile races beforehand, and I've just work them good enough and keep them well socialized and well trained, maybe I'll be able to pull a few of those out and put them into their first Iditarod. Obviously not the entire pack. So I've got 15 other race dogs that are
right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm taking 1.5, 2-year-old dogs, and that they'd be somewhere in between that. It's pretty regular to have that happening. My dog just showed up from going on his run. But yeah, I had a couple of yearling dogs, and yeah, you'll battle test them in some races and see what they got. But yeah, so is this Copper Basin? You got Knik, your wife or your fiance, and what was her name again?
Lydia Worrell Edie. Yeah, she was the most recent sign up for the Knik. It'll be her first race. She'll be tackling the Knik 200, and then the next following week I'll be heading out for the CB and going to do that race.
Nice.
And we've got 2 qualifiers left to do.
So are you guys gonna stay? Sorry, are you guys gonna stay? Like, not go home in between? I'm assuming you just kind of.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
We'll just take the 15 race dogs with and stop somewhere along the way, go train somewhere else, get the dogs some. No point in driving all the way back south going home.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah,
just go run the same trails. I mean, it's good to have an excuse to go on a little 1-week trail vacation.
Yeah, for sure. And the Knik it was really cool to see. There's literally like 50 teams that are signed up for the multiple events and wait lists that are really long, and just an exciting sight to see. And that I really, really hope that the winter is just.
It's quite a good lineup on that 200 as well. Holy smokes. I was looking at it. I hadn't even looked at it till I just seen it was long. I was like, hey, if you're signing up for this, you better get it. The 100's already full. You better sign up. And she gets on, signs up. And then a couple hours later, I'm scrolling through the lineup, and I'm like, have you looked at this lineup? She's like, no, as I'm reading it off. And she's like, oh, great.
That's funny.
She's not going in it to be competitive at all. Like I said, it'll be her first race. So just to get her toes wet and get her some race experience. And
yeah, it's going to be like.
She's out running a team right now by herself.
Nice. Heck yeah, dude. And you get to be there at all the checkpoints and helping her out, but there'll be plenty of traffic out on the trail. I'm sure there's some head-on passing to be had. Depending on what they end up doing, the trails always varies depending on what winter, and it's earlier in the winter too. So kind of the first qualifier, I believe, of the year, and then you go to Glen Allen, and this is and so you're have you done a 300 yet? You have? I
have not. No. So okay. I've got two 300s to try to knock out this season.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping to maybe if we can pull together some good sponsors and save a little bit of extra money, maybe head up to Kotzebue and do that one in the spring.
Oh, nice.
That seems like a fun race. 3 of my dogs did it last season with Hugh. I let Hugh borrow 3 of our dogs.
Nice. That's awesome. How'd they do?
One of them was dropped. He was only 1.5 years old at the time, but he was one of my best powerhouses, but he just wasn't used to that deep, punchy plow and snow thing.
Yeah.
He hadn't quite seen that before yet. So he ended up getting a little sore and getting dropped. My 2 best leaders, they finished. So I gave him probably 3 of my 5 best dogs to take out up to that race. He'd done some helping me out a little bit throughout last winter. I had to go up to the slope randomly for a couple weeks unexpectedly leading right before the race. And so he came out and ran my dogs and stayed here for me, kept them in shape. So that way they didn't take 2 weeks off just leading into a race. So
yeah, nice.
At least I could do was let him borrow a few dogs.
Yeah.
Go out.
Heck yeah. And that's such a good experience for them, of course, but even just like the experience of getting in the plane and going to the race and you know, even if they didn't finish it, I'm sure that you can see like your yearling, 1.5-year-old dog comes back and you got a little more swagger in his step.
A little more strut in his step. We'll head a little higher now.
Yeah, he's like looking at his homies like, yeah, if you only knew what I went through, you know. That's awesome, man. And it's cool. So you got the Copper, you chose the Copper. I guess when you look at what are the other like 300s you could do, it's the Quest kind of looks like they're just doing the 750, I think, maybe.
I don't know. I've been trying to look up on that because I'm really curious about that, and I want to know what their qualification mandatories are, because that one kind of intrigues me a little bit. But I don't know what kind of qualifiers they're going to require and if I have them all. And
I would think the 1,000 is they required 2, I believe it's 2 Iditarod qualifiers. So I believe you would be good. But obviously you're going to have to hear that from someone else besides me. And then there's the Cusco. And that's, a big, it's a big, pilgrimage for you, got to drive 3 hours or how many ever hours to Anchorage and then get your dogs all boarded up and going. It's a whole thing. But cool thing about Cusco is if you finish on these recent years, like if they don't have 25 mushers in it, which they usually have more like
travel fees.
Yeah. It covers all the costs.
Last year too. Yeah.
Yeah. But that race is like such the pace of it is insane, so it's like I feel like the Copper Basin, because you have all that mandatory rest, it's still really freaking hard. So I'm rocking the Copper Basin swag right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But it's going to be cool, man. That sounds like you got yourself a really exciting winter and you got a nice, good, strong start to fall training. When did you guys kind of, you had your team on the glacier?
Yeah. So all of our dogs were up on the Mendenhall up with Laura this year. And actually,
nice.
Brian, one of Jesse's handlers, Brian and Jasper, they were actually running my dogs this summer. I think it was actually Brian. I'm not sure if Jasper was as well, but I know Brian was running our dogs for us. And so they came back really strong. They looked great. They came back with big shoulders like you do after a glacier season, all that hard muscle build up. And so we just jumped right into the 10-mile runs at the beginning of September. And now we're up to, I like to say we're higher, but we're at 17 right now. And tomorrow we'll do our first camping trip. So we'll do a 15 and then with a little rest and then a 15, or maybe we'll see how they look. Maybe go do a 20 and then rest and then do a 15 or 20 after. We'll see how they look. We're running in all 15 dogs at once right now for the most part. We'll start breaking them apart later on and kind of picking and choosing who's going to do what best. And so right now we're running all 15 race dogs, 15 dog team with the 4-wheeler.
Nice.
Kind of makes it a little bit easier. You don't got to go out quite as often if you're trying to do longer stuff, but they got a good pace. They're good water training down here with all this rain we've had. Lots of good mud training, which hopefully we don't need that for anything, but it's good to help them when it's all slipping and sliding around, build some different kinds of muscles to help with their balance and keeping their feet from slipping and sliding on ice, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that'd be good. Good Cusco, good. And yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be some, depending on what the temperature brings, Copper Basin's probably got some slick sections. Nice, man. Right on. And so what made you get into dogs? Like did your family was into it, or I guess there's the whole scene, you were mentioning it earlier with Paul Gebhardt, and it was kind of the hub down there in the Kenai Peninsula, but how'd you get into it and how early in your life?
So I grew up in a horse family. I grew up in a little farm, a bunch of horses, pigs and goats, just a little farm, doing a little bit of rodeo stuff here and there. And I always wanted to get into dog mushing because when I grew up here in this cabin, the Tustamina came by right through here. I remember one thing we always did as kids, after that race was over, we'd all go out on our little snow machines and we'd drive around and we'd pick up loose dog booties. And it was just the coolest thing. That was one of my earlier memories, is picking up old dog booties on these trails out here as a kid. And it just kind of intrigued me watching it, seeing it. And then I was probably about 8 years old. I remember finding an old harness in my mom's barn, an old dog harness. I don't even know what style it was, something I'd never seen before or since. And I remember putting my Chesapeake Bay Retriever, my bird hunting dog, in a harness, and she'd pull me around on my snowboard. And then it wasn't but a couple of years later, I built a little dog sled out of some 2x4s and conduit and cross country skis. And I had my other hunting dogs pulling me around on that, young teenager or so. And I always wanted a dog team. Mom, dad's, we got lots of other animals. We're not doing that. So then once I became a grown up, still never there quite yet, but then I was like, well, now I can do it. So the last year of the Tustamina, which would have been the year you probably raced it, it was just like time to start figuring it out. Like, how do I do it? So I went to a race, volunteered the Tustamina out here, and just started asking people, just talking to mushers, just, hey, I want to get into this. This is something I'm interested in. I want to learn from somebody. And I didn't even know Tim Osmar lived right down the road. I didn't even know who he was. My mom knew him previously through the commercial fishing industry because he's a commercial fisherman. And so he lives only a mile down the road. So I was like, oh, perfect. So I'd just show up there in the morning with a bucket and a shovel and start cleaning up poop and help him feed dogs. And I remember he put me on my first team. It was just the first day. And he's a great teacher. He's my biggest mentor. He has a sink or swim mentality. I didn't really know a whole lot. He put me with an 8-dog team. He went ahead of me on the snow machine, and we just took off out of the yard. And from there, it was all just learning from him. Then I ran with him for a season, show up and help out, run dogs. And then I spent a winter with Frank Haberman. He's a sprint musher in Clam Gulch. I just wanted to learn from somebody different. I wanted to kind of say, everybody does something different. And Tim, I'll always go back to Tim for any advice, but I kind of wanted to see the different layout, how everybody does something a little bit different, so I could kind of make my own mix. And so I ran with Frank for a season, did a 100-mile race with one of his teams. Actually, it was a race that Tim used to put on out here, the Freddy's Midnight Run. And then after that, 2019, I started accumulating some dogs, getting a couple from Tim, getting some from Frank, and just started doing a little bit of breeding and growing from there. So my official kennel started in 2019. My first race I did was in 17 or 18, I believe. So nice. That's kind of what goes into the name of the kennel too. Cold start kennels. It was a cold start, like a diesel truck, diesel engine. It was a hard start because I just kind of jumped in, kind of just like figure it out, ask people for help when I need it and advice. And it's been a rough start. Not like I got to go work with big giant racing kennels and spend a season and get thrown a killer race team. It's like Tim and Monica weren't doing a whole lot of racing then. That was Monica's last Iditarod. And so they weren't really focused on anything other than Iditarod that year. So I just learned what I could and went from there. It was a cold start, but we've made progress and we're going to keep pushing at it.
Nice. Yeah. I see your mantra on there. You use one step at a time. Yep, that's a good. It seems like you've just been, plugging along, making progress, and there's something to be said for that. For not rushing something like this, and you rushed. I guess in a way you rushed into getting a kennel, but you were like, I don't need to get too into racing. I just want to get to know get my thing figured out, and just develop things before you start just jumping into the Knik 200 right off the bat, so it's kind of, and now it seems like you've, accrued 7-8 years of this knowledge, got a good mentor right down the road. And and then you've got great help, not just your fiance. It sounds like you had some great help last winter, or was it right? You've got
the last 2 winters. Actually, I need to give a shout out to them real quick. I'm gonna interrupt you for this one.
Yeah, no problem.
Joanna McDonald, she used to work with Libby Riddles down in Homer, just out of here, before I ever was into mushing or knew anything about it. I was a little kid probably. And she wanted to get back into helping out and running dogs. And I, through the grapevine, through Libby and Jim Art, she was connected to me, and her 2 kids and husband, they came up. I just kind of trusted them. I talked to her a bit on the phone, had some Zoom meetings, and I had to work on the slope 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So I spent a week with them, kind of showed them the loops, the trails, the cabin, and then had to go take off for 2 weeks and come back and forth. And they did amazing. They ran the dogs and love them just as much as I do. And that's the most important thing. They love them like I love them. And they came back again this last winter, all the way from Scotland. They came up from all the way overseas. And
from Scotland,
these kids, 7 and 9 years old, Hamish and Runa. And Runa, there were some mornings I'd be getting up for early morning run. I'd get up and start feeding dogs at 3:45 in the morning. And Runa would not want to miss out. She would be, by the time I was done feeding dogs, you'd see her down here throwing a snowsuit on, ready. You're not going without me. I'm getting on the sled and I'm going for a run too.
Wow.
And Hamish is just a little creative little guy, always tinkering and building new things and coming up with ideas for the dog yard and my sled, even helping build things for the sled. And he's just into much running dogs too. I don't think it'll be long before we see those kids start duking it out in junior Iditarod against each other with some of my dogs.
Nice.
They were doing 50-mile runs on the runners at 7 and 9 years old, 50 miles at a time on the Denali.
Jesus, that's crazy. So these guys they used to live in Alaska.
So Joanna, she was just here on like visa or something years ago to just handle and run dogs. And they came up just now. They just take some time off work and she'd homeschool from here in the cabin and run dogs with us for the winter.
But they live in Scotland.
Yep, they live in Scotland.
And so this is like a mom, dad, and 2 kids, or was it mom and 3 kids?
Mom, dad, and 2 kids. Yep.
Yeah.
Joanna, nice. Joanna, John, Hamish, and Runa. Yep.
Nice.
Runa's the youngest. Hamish is the older boy.
That's wild.
Yep, they did awesome. They followed me all the way up to Denali to go train for over a month, and yeah.
Wow. That's that dude. Firstly, the name Hamish. I've never been to Scotland, but that is the most Scottish name I've ever heard. I love the name Hamish. But that's so cool that you got this like family. Like, what a cool lesson. Like, those kids are gonna benefit from that experience so much. Just learning hard work and what a 50-mile run entails, and all that goes into it. I mean, it's such a great way to teach your kids some important values, and
they're hard
have
workers.
Fun doing it. Yeah.
Yep. They understand the living out and roughing it out here in a dry cabin and having to go collect water every couple days. And
yeah. So that's so cool, man. So your living situation, you said it was like the, cabin that your family would go to on the weekends, your dry cabin. So you got wood stove and a Toyo, or one or the other?
No, we just burn wood here. So it's a wood stove, and our water spring is about a mile or so down the road. So we and this time of year, our driveway is not usable with all this rain. So we just use the 4-wheeler to get back and forth to the pickup and car parked at the Roadhouse parking lot over here.
Nice.
And then, so we go get about 95 gallons every 3 or 4 days.
Is that like just a 5-gallon jugs, or?
Yeah, so I tried to a couple years ago. I really wanted to try to get more efficient in storage of water, so I started trying to use drums. And in the new house I'm building right here next door, I'm building a new place. But I tried using those 15 and 35 gallon jugs, and that's just trying to carry it up those slippery steps from the water pump is just. So we just do 5-gallon buckets with lids, and we just go get a bunch of buckets and
And
that's it.
you got those 7-year-olds just carrying a 5-gallon. That's a heavy, man. That's impressive. I can picture it just holding it with all his or her might.
Yep, them are some tough kids. I'll tell you what. They'll be going
and now
places.
They go just like the yearling that went to Kotzebue and came back to your yard and has a strut in his step. Now those kids go back to Scotland and they're like, yeah, know, seeing their friends like, yeah, you don't know what a hard day is. No, I'm sure their friends.
They actually spent their last night here. It was their last night before leaving, go back overseas. They said, we want to sleep outside. They were apparently, I wasn't here that night. They were just enthralled with watching me go on these camping trips where I'd go out for 2 or 3 days at a time. And they were just bummed because now I'm gone for 2 or 3 days. They don't get to see all the dogs and they don't get to help out and do much. And so they were really inspired. I said, maybe you guys get a little older. I'll take you on a camping trip. Because they kept bugging me, you want to go camping, you want to go camping. I was like, that's a lot for me to deal with. I'm not a parent of 2-legged, at least.
Yeah.
I'm not really much of a babysitter. And I don't really know a whole lot about that. And I was like, you guys just get a little practice, then maybe next year we'll take you out for some camping trips. And so at their last night here, they went and slept under a tree out in the yard to prove they can go camping.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So when you do these 2 or 3 day camping trips, you like to do like 30s and 40s and rest, or are you doing like 50s and resting? I mean, you what was the one race that you did do? You said the qualifier?
The T-Dog.
T-Dog. Nice. Oh yeah. That was this year, right?
Yeah. It was March 22nd or 24th, somewhere in there.
I was there at that. I've
really?
seen you finish, because for folks listening, me and Shane met in Seldovia this summer at a bar. Honestly, it was like a music festival thing and that day, but yeah, I may have very well seen you that day. I was there Sunday.
I think we finished right about in the middle of the pack. I don't remember what the placing was.
Yeah, I think I might have.
Right about in the middle.
I think we might have just seen like the some of the shorter races finish. Maybe I don't think we saw anyone from the 200, but yeah, you go on these camping trips. Like what tell me about what those might look like.
So like I said, I'm newer at this, kind of didn't realize exactly. Like I've done a little bit of training with some teams for, like I said, Frank and Josh McNeil, and nice. I kind of see what goes into some of these runs and camping trips. And I have one thing where I sometimes might go, I just want to outwork everybody. Like one of my things I always say, I might not be the fastest, I might not be the strongest, definitely not the best looking, but what we got is work ethic. And we'll outwork as many people as we can. And so my goal is to just, if I'm tired as heck, I'm going to keep running. If my dogs are good and they want to keep going, I'm going to let them do what they can. And so we were doing 150-mile runs, broken into 2 camping trips before going into that race. And like, I had no idea like that was, I just thought that was normal. And some of the people I was talking to were like, you were doing that before a 200-mile race? You just go out there and burn all that out. Some of them we were doing 145 miles with just 2 rests. So we're doing up to 70-mile runs without resting. I'd snack every 2 hours or 18 miles, whatever it might have been. But yeah, we were some of our longer runs this season. By run, I mean without a camp. So we're doing 72 miles sometimes.
Damn.
And I think my dogs, I didn't have as much. I always overthink everything. Like I always am worried. I don't want to overwork my dogs and let them go too fast. I don't want to underfeed, underpack, under massage, under ointment, under any. Again, so I go probably further than I'd need to in a lot of these aspects. And it really is, it's good for my dogs. But also I realized during this last race, I was going into this race reading these reports of the T-Dog saying that there was going to be open water crossings, open water on the river, and said that it shouldn't be an issue as long as people are paying attention. And to me, in my mind, we don't run that kind of stuff down here. And so when I hear the term open water on a river, I'm picturing open water on a river, like a hole, like,
right.
not not 3 inches of water on top. There's a little bit of overflow. I'm fishing an open hole in the river.
Right.
And so that made me change my training regimen a lot as to trying to slow my dogs down, because I didn't want to be running through this dark, unknown trail that I've never run. I didn't know anything about it. I've never been on it. And I didn't want to be having these possible dangerous issues. And so I was trying to tune my dogs back from 9.5 to 8. And I was spent like 2 months prior to that race just trying to tune them down. Like, come on, guys, we're running 8 now. We're training for an 8-mile-an-hour race. We're not training for 9.5 to 10-mile-an-hour race anymore. Slow it down. So I worked way harder than I should have trying to do that. Because going into that race, then I seen this trail, and I was like, are you kidding me? Open water, 3 inches is open water. This is what we're talking about. And so I should have had more faith in my dogs and letting them just do their thing and what we were used to training to, and not trying to hold them back so hard, because I held them back as hard as I could for, the first leg of the race. I couldn't step off the brake. The second leg of the race, couldn't get off the brake. Third leg, I was like, okay, it's daylight out now. I'm not seeing any real life potential hazards out here. I'm just going to let them open it up and go back to what they're used to. And that's what they want to do. It makes them happiest, and it's light out. I don't see any hazards. Let's go for it. So I think I should have done that earlier in the race, and should have just trusted my dogs and not try to hold them back so hard. And we didn't go into that race to be competitive whatsoever. We went into that for a qualifier. We went into that for race experience. For more than half of that team was their first race ever. And so I was just trying to gain them a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of experience, and just knock out a qualifier. But had I let them do what they were used to, we would have. They were more than capable of placing a lot higher. I was the weak link in that race for sure by not trusting my dogs.
That's a great analysis. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the trail reports, man. I mean, they're scary, but they're like, I feel like in my experience, every time I hear a trail report, I'm like, we're going to die out here. What is it?
Yeah,
and then it's like, you go out there and like every single time I'm like, that was super chill. Like, and like the trail, that credit to like the people out on the trail, like marking it and stuff like it, especially like Copper Basin, those guys, they have, if there's any obstacle coming up, it's like, all these markers and X's and whatever, and left turns, right turn indicators. And I was like, oh, this is pretty chill, but then you get into like other events and they're like, oh yeah, like trail's pretty good. I feel like Iditarod, it's such a changing, it's always changing the conditions, and 1 week it's good, 1 week it's bad, and blah blah blah. And so there's the creek crossings and the open water. I feel like no one tells me about it. And then all of a sudden I take like an acute 90-degree, more than 90-degree turn into like a foot of water that's running. And I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, that surprised, that doesn't surprise me that you heard that and you were like, oh no. And then you got there and like, oh, this is what I was freaking out about this.
Yeah. That's one thing is we're not used to running here. I mean, me personally, we don't have rivers we're running on. We don't have those river miles. I mean, the only rivers we got here, the Kasilof, and the real rivers, that is Kasilof and Kenai River. And you don't want to be running on that.
No. Unless you're practicing swimming.
That's what I'm envisioning in my mind, is a river like that, like open water in the Kenai River. That is, you throw a fly in that still. Yeah,
no, I feel like it'd be cool if like that in between time in Kotzebue and Copper, that February, March, go and take the dogs to Willow and go ripping up the Yentna or whatever. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Easy.
I did it that 1 year with Dakota Schlosser, buddy of mine. So we were running out of snow down here a few years ago, and I was trying to get some miles on. So I went up and stayed with him, and we ran up the Yentna and stayed up there. And it was interesting, different kind of running. I mean, I'd never seen that before that point, that kind of river miles.
Yeah, it
definitely is. Like, I was listening to an analogy of, I was actually listening to your show, one of Cody and Paige's episodes last week. I think it was Cody and Paige. and the way they were talking about the different training of the different kinds of muscles. So like when you're running on the rivers, you're running for like that fast twitch muscle compared to, and so you're going to get more speed and the dog is going to be more efficient at that compared to what we're training at here is they're basically bodybuilding is the way I kind of think of it now, the way after hearing her analogy that they're not used to that fast twitch, flat trot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like running on a treadmill, practically, the flat, and it's like also the mentality for it, like mentally for the dogs, the hills are just fun and stimulating and exciting, dynamic. And then you go and you get on something like the Yukon River or even just the Yentna. And it's like, okay, like cool. Like, this is another river bend, river bend, and
I get bored of those.
What's that?
I get bored of those real quick.
Yeah.
I like
the dogs too, they're like, okay, like, so getting them used to the, like, not just the muscles, but just like psychologically, like, okay, like we're going to just be on. And then that's a cool thing, like about you've trained out on the Denali Highway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We spent a bit of time up there last fall.
Cool.
Or last spring before that T-Dog race.
Nice. Yeah. The cool thing about there is like, you kind of get the best of both. You get the hills, but also the monotony at the same time. You get both of them.
Well, at least it's pretty though, so there's something to look at for me at least.
Oh yeah,
the dogs get used to that. By the end of that month and a half or whatever it was we'd spent there, I could tell the dogs were getting sick of it. They were. You
guys spent a month and a half there.
Just shy of a month and a half. Yeah, I went up there with my race trailer and just set up in the parking lot, and all the dogs just slept on drop chains and. Well, we spent a lot of the time camping on the trail, but yeah, when we were doing a rest day, I'd have my cot set up in my race trailer, my heater, and yeah, we spent quite a bit of time there.
Dude, that's a good stint. A month and some change. I feel like I camped out there for like 2 weeks one time or something, and I was just like, I need to get back. But yeah, it
was definitely bittersweet when it came to an end, though. I was ready for it to be over, but then we went back up to Fairbanks and did that race, and then came back down. And as I'm driving past it, I'm just looking at the forecast at home, and then looking at the Denali Highway. I like slowed down, turned my blinker on, like just one more week, we can do it. We'll just spend another week here.
Yeah. It's you going as you drive south, you're driving back into spring and summer. As farther south you go, yeah. Nice, man. That's cool. What a sweet lifestyle you carved out for yourself. How old are you?
Just turned 30 in August.
Wow, cool, man. That's
a little bit of a late start getting into it, but
a late start, dude. Forget about it. You got your own kennel, like developed. Developing. I guess still you're building a cabin and whatever. I'm sure you are always developing, but yeah, to be 6 years into your own kennel. And 30, that's you're ahead of schedule, dude. You're doing great.
Yeah,
way farther than I ever got.
It's definitely a pride of mine that I take. And like before I started my kennel, someone said, "Why don't you just go run for someone else? So if you want to do Iditarod so bad someday, just go run with them." To me, I want to raise and run my own dogs. I want it to be something that I did myself and built myself. I know it's going to take longer and it's going to be frustrating along the way, and we're going to hit every bump along the road, but we're going to figure it out. And that's just something I really take pride in, is not just going to run for somebody else just so I can check that off my list. Oh, did I? Like I wanted to build it from the top to the bottom and just do it myself. So I'm proud of that fact.
For sure, man. As somebody who took the easier route, I think you're completely right that, it would be so much more fulfilling to take, buy the property, get the dogs, raise them from puppies, or adopt a few and go through that whole process. It's got to be just another, not several tiers of just more fulfillment and more difficult and maybe a little bit longer. But like, in the long run, I think, it is something that's worth like noting when you see like, I did a rod finisher. And you're like, well, you got this Chichaco from Atlanta showing up and running the Iditarod, and
Hey man, there's nothing wrong with that, dude.
and then
you did it.
Oh yeah, I like to criticize myself once in a while, and then someone like you starting your own kennel and you're enjoying the ride. Iditarod's a long way away. It seems like you got your mind just focused on getting the team ready for Knik, and then when you run Knik, you're gonna bring
Lydia will be running Knik.
Right. When Lydia runs Knik, she will. You'll probably be taking most of the same dogs to Copper Basin.
If not all of them, which is it scares me a little bit because I'm trying to use it as a qualifier. But at the same time, I know her dog care. I know her level of dog care and what she's capable of, and she's not going into it to be competitive. It is a little bit frightening, so to speak, to think that I'm depending on this qualifier, but sending out most of these dogs to a race just 1 week prior to what I'm depending on. But I'm more than confident in her abilities and her dog care, and she's not out there going to try to be pushing to do something more than the dogs can do. She knows the dog's capabilities. She knows what they can do. I'm very confident in it. And plus that's only the 200 is only a 10 dog race, correct?
I thought it was 12, but it could have been, it could be 10. And you can always start with 10. You don't have to start with 10.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna let her start with all of it. She's going to start with all the dogs she can.
Yeah.
I didn't read the rules for her race. I just read them for my race. That's her problem, not mine.
Yeah, you don't need, dude. You don't need to be thinking too hard about those things in October. And also something to keep in mind, unsolicited advice, but I feel like you're going to be there with your buddies, like Schlossers. I guess Dakota's not going to be around this winter, but Josh McNeil and like you have like those connections there, and like if you needed a dog or whatever to fill in like I'm sure that there'd be people that would be willing to be like, hey, actually I'd love to see my dog run this race, but I'm not in it, kind of thing. I'm sure that it'll work out great, whether it's the way that you intended or not.
Well, Josh McNeil and I were talking on the phone the other day. I actually did a race tour with him down to the States in 2019, raced some of his dogs down there.
Cool.
But so we were talking he used to live in Kasilof. I don't know if you know,
I didn't.
Before he bought Cody and Paige's old place. But I was talking to him the other day about this. She was signing up, and he's kind of I've never run the Knik. I signed up for it 1 year and had to withdraw 5 days before the race due to a couple injuries. So he's kind of got a good plan for me to help figure out for her where the best place is to camp to keep these dogs just finishing and easy for her and easy on the dogs. And so he's kind of got a good little strategy. He's we'll work into talk to about it together and figure out for her.
Nice.
So he's a good resource on that for sure. I actually have 2 dogs in my yard that are from him.
Okay. Right on. Yeah. He's a good dude, it seems. And he's been fun to have on the podcast and seeing him at the races and stuff. And another young musher like yourself, just with their own kennel and he's got a family and he's got a great thing going up there, it seems, and starting his own freaking oil company or whatever. I'm like, dude, what? Like, that's so sick.
He's doing good.
Yeah. That's so. You're in the winter. You're fully dog mode, right? You're dog mode. Are you?
I wish. No, unfortunately, I this will hopefully be my last winter having to work on the slope. So I actually work on the slope year round, 2 on, 2 off.
Dude, you do that in summer too?
So I'm able to get enough people that I work with that want to work extra weeks because they don't have a hobby or a home life or a family or something, and they'll work extra as much as they can. And so I luckily been able to take the last 3 summers completely off to just focus on guiding. And so my partner, Lydia, my fiance, she also guides as well. And some of the things we're looking at doing next season, it looks like we'll be able to put enough away for Iditarod and make enough money that we should be able to not have me go back to the slope next season. So I'll be doing 2 and 2 rotations this year. Obviously, it'll involve some weeks off here and there to plan around races, but
yeah,
it's doubtful that every race is going to line up with a week off.
If you, what's the like, what job do you do up there? I've always been kind of curious about the slope life.
Yeah, I'm a heavy equipment operator and truck driver. Nothing fancy.
Did you learn heavy equipment operating like through just like doing it with your friends and family and stuff here in Kenai, or did you like go to a trade school or?
My mom's brother, he actually, Uncle Jeff, shout out to you. I know you're probably not listening because you don't know how to use a computer, but he actually taught me everything I know about my big boy job career. He taught me to drive truck, taught me to run heavy equipment. I mean, I was a little kid in his front yard running heavy equipment. He taught me my trade, got me into it, and it's been a good building block to help support building this kennel and to help get me where I am. But I'm to the point where it's just, at the end of the day, it's not as fulfilling as if I take out 6 clients to go fishing and if I make 5 of those 6 people have a lifetime memory that they're going to remember forever. Like that to me, like that's a passion just as much as it is for dog mushing. It's like, you know how many hundreds of people this summer have told stories over and over again about this crazy Alaska boat captain who took me out to see bears and catch all these big fish, and he's got a dog kennel and lives with no toilet, and I'm probably hanging on frames on people's wall, helping them hold up fish. And to me, that's a special thing. It's kind of like a legacy. I get to help all of these people have something they remember for the rest of their life. And if I can be a part of that, that's pretty special to me. And I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. That is an amazing experience. I mean, if I went on one of those trips, it'd be like for locals, that would be a whole trip of a lifetime. You know, it's like getting to go out in that country. It's a awesome place to be, and the slope it's like a good to have those 2 weeks off, and then they pay really well up there. I'm told, and yeah, but it's tough being away from home 50% of the winter, I'm sure. Yeah. So you've been listening to the podcast, which I appreciate, man. It's cool to have you on, and at the end, Brendan and I usually go and do some questions, some quick hitting questions. Let's see if I can. Brendan usually gets the ball rolling here, but what's a quick go-to snack when you're on the runners?
Beef jerky, number 1, and smoked salmon.
Nice.
That's just easy. And I have a hard time keeping an appetite because I'm always just worried about every little thing, every little aspect. Like, is my bridle going to start to wear out? Is this dog's booty, is that dog have a hitch in a step or just trying to crab walk for a second?
Right.
So I can never remember to take care of myself very well on the trail. So just having something easy just in my pocket, beef jerky, smoked salmon in the sled. One thing that I started doing recently is putting in my drop bags. I'll take just a protein shake, mixer you take to the gym, GNC protein shakes, and I'll pre-mix protein shake powder in there with creatine and any other chaga supplements and lion's mane, all whatever supplements I normally take. And then I'll put that in my drop bag. And so then at least if I can't make myself eat, I can at least get down those calories and that protein and those supplements to help keep me going. I just make myself drink it. But another thing I really like, obviously, is if I really can't eat anything, a Reese's Sticks never sounds bad.
Reese's Sticks?
Yeah, the Reese's Sticks.
Huh.
Because they don't freeze. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like what do you call them things? It's like I forget what you call them, but there's something else that they're like. But
thin,
yeah.
I think of the thin Reese's, like the little thin ones that you.
No, not a Reese's cup, a Reese's stick.
Okay, I've never heard of a Reese's stick. Okay, yeah. Nice. All right, that's good. And okay, what kind of harnesses do you use typically?
Non-stops.
Non-stops,
like
X-Packs?
Non-stop. Yep.
Nice.
I've not really tried a whole lot of different things. I've seen some other things tried. Like I had one season, my dogs were on Punch Bowl Glacier with Mitch and them up there. And they were using those CV harnesses. And when I went up there to run my dogs and take them for a run, I really liked that straight pull it gave them, but I also just wasn't a fan of the rubs in certain places, having to keep an eye on that. And then,
it's also like
me personally, I don't not like them. Just me personally, I'll just stick with all that spreader bar and extra stuff. It's just more things to deal with. And
the fiddling with that stuff, I did it at Dallas's. It was like, you're like, because like you can just fix the rubbing on the back legs. I think, Mitch knows this, I'm sure, but though, if you just have to have a wide enough spreader bar, right? Like, it's not wide enough.
Tail rub was one thing also I didn't like on top of their tail. The tail rub on top of their tail.
Oh yeah, the tail rub.
Yeah, which I know is not crucial. I mean, it's not like in a working point, but still, just something that I didn't. One other thing I just had stacked against liking them.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to everything. A lot of right ways to do. So another question.
Which is why it's nice to go work with other multiple mushers before ever starting your own thing, which is why I did what I did. I wanted to see why everybody did a certain way, and so I could kind of build my own plan. Everybody does something for a reason, and you don't want to do just what one person does just because that's what you were taught.
Right. Do you have your snap attached to the tug line or the back of the harness string?
So I actually I'm trying to see if I have a harness laying here, but I think the bundle's out in the yard because Lydia's out for a run. But I actually started doing, so I use for my houses, I use 55-gallon plastic drums, but I don't do them upright like CVs do. I do them on their side. And so I cut out that hole for the door, and I save those pieces of 55-gallon drum, and I take a 1-inch hole saw and I cut out 1-inch pieces to make toggles, and then I attach the toggles to the harness.
Okay.
And there is like certain places where I would prefer snaps possibly, but there's just, in my experimenting back and forth, I think there was more positive to using toggles than there was using snaps. Frozen paint, sand, dirt, gravel, trying to melt it with your hands.
Oh my God, dude. Just like we were at Jeff's, we were the ones in charge. Jeff wouldn't mind if we had one setup or another setup, but for some reason we never changed it, and we would just be like, did shit on the snap, and then you're just like banging the snap against something and shit's flying everywhere, and you trying to open the snap, and or it's that you open it and then you can't shut it, and you're sitting there like, I just want to be done with this fucking day. And
there is times though where I wished I had snaps on some certain dogs, because it's just when you're wearing, you don't want to shake your mitts off or something. It's just so much easier to move a snap than try to move a toggle sometimes with big mitts on. But I try to stick with mainly toggles. And if I bust a toggle in the yard, actually just happened earlier when Lydia was heading out, I just grabbed a neckline, pulled a snap off it, and put it on the harness. Like, this will work for now. I'm not going to retie a new toggle right now.
Right. Okay. Do you listen to anything on the runners when you spend a month and a half on the Denali Highway? Or are you just raw dogging it? Or are you
No, I've listened to this question a few times, and I've thought about it both ways. And if I am like really trying to focus on something like a upcoming hazard or something dangerous, or I'm trying to solve a problem in my head of like, why is this dog crab walking, and like, why is this one pulling this way? If I'm trying to solve a problem, I pull everything out of everything. I want to focus on my dogs at that point. I need to figure out this problem. Other than that, dude, I like, the vibes are real, man. Like, I put a speaker on in the yard and I turn on music and I talk to the dogs, sing to them, and they get amped. They know the energy's up. It is real, dude. Get the vibes going. Like, I don't ever have 2 earbuds in at once, except for when I'm hooking up, if the whole yard's going crazy, just for hearing protection.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm on the runners, I usually got 1 earbud in and I'm singing along. Or if we're going through a tough part of trail, I might put a speaker on for the dogs to listen to when they run. I'll sing along to it. Yeah, my dogs know so many songs probably. And the funny thing is, when Lydia and I were listening to Cody and Paige's interview the other day, what Paige had said was exactly what I say is, I don't know if they run faster because they like my singing or they're trying to get away from it. But
Yeah.
that is so. I've literally said that for years, and as soon as she said that, Lydia started laughing so loud. She's like, "That's exactly what you talk about." She said, "I think it's because they don't like your singing." To be honest.
Oh my God, dude. That's great.
But no, dude, it's good. Energy exchange. Get the vibes up. Let your dogs know you're amped, and like the same thing. Like when I go out to guide in the mornings, it's actually I'm just big on good vibes. When I'm talking to Lydia on the phone, I'm driving to the plane in the morning. I get to a certain point in the road, run 3 miles from there. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. It's that time of day now. She's like, yeah, I know. You gotta get your vibes up.
That's awesome.
And I crank my music. I get the vibes up. You got to start the day with good energy. You got to get them going. You gotta,
well, tell me a couple of your favorite artists.
My favorite artists for music?
As far as music, yeah.
Oh, man. I go all the way across. I listen to just about everything. You'll hear me listening to gangster rap with Dr. Dre. You'll hear me listening to Shania Twain. You'll hear me listening to old bluegrass, Townes Van Zandt. Everything you can imagine across the board. Anything with good energy gets it up. Yes.
Heck yeah. Nice, dude. All right. I got I might have a new band for you I recommend, but we'll do that afterwards.
New one that I just got into last year, Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Also, saw them at the fair this year. One of my top 3 favorite concerts.
Nice. I've heard really good things from them in the circles of music that I listen to, people being into it. So yeah, I'm interested to hear. I've never really listened to them much. So nice. What kind of sled do you have?
Built myself. My dad and I built it. My dad's never built sleds, but he a little bit of a woodworker. And I took the design from Frank Haberman. He taught me what to do and how to do it. And so I used some white ash, split the wood for the stanchions, reverse the grain each way the other way. So you got reverse grain to strengthen it, glued them back together, run 4 stanchions that way, 9-foot runners, super lightweight. It's not a lightweight, it's like a Dandler, but it's for a mid-distance sled. It's pretty light, durable. Mickey down here on the Kenai Peninsula, she makes custom sled bags. She's made a lot for Osmar. So I bring her my sleds and she custom builds tailors that bag to that particular sled. And she does a great job with that. So we build our sleds and we're actually going to start building 2 more here in the next couple of weeks. We need to find some hockey sticks. I want to go that route this time rather than doing the white ash, try some carbon fiber hockey sticks.
Yeah. It seems like that's a pretty common and it's something that I would love to learn. I mean, I think I could figure it out over the course of like 7 years, but I wouldn't be like to
it's super simple. Yeah. There's really not a lot to it. Our design is very simple. You just get your plastics the right way and put your rivets in the right spot and make sure you adjust it so you have the right flexibility you're looking for in your steer.
Yeah. Okay. So then Mount Rushmore, your three mushers. You got. Okay. I don't need to tell you that they don't have to be the best ones. They can just be ones you like or ones.
Okay, so obviously, I am not going to leave out Tim Osmar. He has taught me just about everything I know, and maybe he does or doesn't like to hear that. He's one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. He'll never tell you. When I introduce friends to him, I'm like, "You, this is Tim Osmar. Just so you know, you're in a little bit of royalty right here." And Tim's like, no. He's just so humble, down to earth, extremely knowledgeable. He's very high on my list, but also, as anybody probably would put out there, Lance Mackey has been a huge inspiration to me. I have watched The Great Alone documentary well over 100 times. I put it on and sit down and just fall asleep to it most nights. I mean, probably a few hundred times. Even my dogs watch it. My lead dogs will sit on the couch with me and you'll see them just paying attention, just watching. And just his story is super inspirational to me. Probably in the way it resonates with me is kind of a similar way that I got started. Just kind of start from the bottom, work your way up. I mean, like, what was it? The 2 Rivers 100 about 4 years ago. We showed up with everybody's misfits and rejects and leftovers, and we ended up bringing home a 3rd place trophy. And I didn't even I couldn't believe it when we pulled into the finish line. And they said, "Oh, only 2 people got here ahead of you," and I'm just running some old reject mixture of dogs, and that's just kind of how he started out. Everybody's leftovers and misfits, and worked his way up, and that's just super inspirational to me. And that his story resonates with me, and he's been a big inspiration, even though I've only met him once at that last Tustamina race, actually. And he's high up there, but something in the good way that Cody put it into perspective, referring back to that last podcast we listened to. I've never raced with those 2 people. Someone that I look up to on the trail that I personally race with is Bino out of Washington or Oregon. Bino with Beat Feet Sled Dog Kennel. He is someone that I've raced with in the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge, and he is just one of the most down-to-earth, just relaxed, cool, helpful people. Will give you the shirt off his back. We end up leapfrogging a lot in the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge, and as we're passing each other back and forth, we're BSing and talking and telling jokes on the trail and telling stories, yelling back and forth. And whenever he'd beat me to a checkpoint, I wouldn't be too far behind him, but he'd have hot water sitting next to my parking spot ready for me.
Nice.
And then whenever I'd beat him to a checkpoint, I'd do the same. And we just help each other out on the trail. And he's an amazing dude, and he's got drive, and I definitely look forward to racing with him again. Yeah, he's a good dude to be with on the trail for sure.
Nice. Okay. And so in the same, I guess, is there somebody you might recommend for a guest as the next question?
Dude, if you haven't had Bino on, hit up Bino, man.
All right. I'll hit him up. Yeah. Bino. I will go.
Bino.
Yeah.
Okay. Bravo, India, November, October. I'll shoot you his phone number.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sweet. Okay. And and
then obviously once Lydia finishes her next race, you have her on. You got to sweet talk her though. I don't know if she's into the whole public speaking, but
yeah,
you can sweet talk her on.
Pressures. We're just, it's just within the community. It's even just a little sliver of the Alaska mushing community, and then some folks down around the world listening to. But yeah, I'm grateful that you like it, and I'm glad we get to have you on, man. And next time we're gonna have to do it with Brendan around. But yeah, we'll wish you the best of luck with your training, and hopefully I will see what my schedule ends up being, but I hope to be at the Knik and see you guys there.
Heck yeah. I didn't ask you, what's on your race schedule this year? What do you, I didn't even look at signups. What are you doing?
I haven't been doing a whole lot of mushing in the last couple of years. I'm been just kind of trying to figure out the other part of my life. And then I'm, just like, I got a girlfriend. She's awesome. So I figured that
Does she like dogs?
She loves dogs. I got one of my sled dogs from my Iditarod 2020, and he's in the house with, and that's her first time owning a dog, having a dog around in the house. And she loves him, just took him out on a little canicross. And so yeah, I mean, there's mushers around, and sometimes I go and help them out with the training run but yeah, I haven't been, racing since basically 2021. But I've been at the Copper Basin a few years in the last few years. The Knik are usually the 2 races I try to go to. And then I've been lucky enough to be out on the Iditarod Trail the last couple years helping with Iditarod Insider. And so, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm always fantasizing about getting back into some races, but yeah, I know what it takes in the training aspect of things. And I'm trying to figure out my, get things a little more figured out. I don't need to figure out my life completely necessarily, but just to
we'll never have it figured out, man.
Yeah, I know how hard the dog life makes it on you, but it is worth it. And so, yeah, it's something I'm always thinking about, but I just really haven't haven't dove right back into it yet, you know, but I stay adjacent.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Well, come down and visit anytime, man.
Yeah. I plan on, I'm thinking about going down there, potentially for Halloween or, to go to Homer. So yeah, well, if we do, we'll make sure to stop by and say hi and check out your kennel and stuff. Say hey to Lydia for me, and yeah, best of luck to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. That was good talking with you.
Mushing, Alaska. And we also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.